E-commerce sites, internet retailers, well, they're traditionally on the internet. But does it make sense to expand, at least experiment, to expand into a brick and mortar location? Hi, I'm Daniel Burstein, the Director of Editorial Content at MarketingSherpa. We're here at the MarketingSherpa Media Center at IRCE, and I'm joined now by Debbie Hauss, the Editor-in-Chief of Retail Touchpoints. Thanks for joining us, Debbie.
You're welcome. Nice to be here.
So as we were talking about, when e-commerce sites are trying to fight against the Amazons of the world, one of the ways they can do that is with a better customer experience, right? And so, but that doesn't only have to happen online. So can e-commerce sites look at ways of communicating with their customers in person?
So I think that a lot of e-commerce retailers are seriously considering the value of opening a brick and mortar store now. And I think it's kind of funny because we're now speaking about brick and mortar versus e-commerce, but in both ways. Right? We're talking about having the online experience in stores, but we're also talking about having the store experience online. So there are so many e-commerce retailers who now believe that in order to differentiate themselves, establish better brand relationships with their shoppers, they want to really consider opening brick and mortar stores. But they need to go about it in a creative way in a lot of cases because it's expensive, time consuming, and stressful to go out there and try to open a retail store.
Yeah, and so one of the first questions that comes up is location, and I would think that all the transactional data that an e-commerce site has could help at least narrow down some possible locations.
So I think they'll have a good idea about where their products sell well, what regions, what type of customers. That's the first thing. You need to have good data in order to understand who your customers are and please them. So taking that a step further, there are a couple of companies that I've come across who are using that data in creative ways. And Alton Lane is one company who's taken it to the road with Airstream trailers, and they are going to be traveling around the country. They're going to be introducing their brand in specific locations around the country, and it's going to expand their brand to different groups of customers in different regions around the country. At the same time, they're going to be able to find out on their feet in these regions which part of that region would be the best place for them to open a store. So they're really achieving multiple objectives by taking this trip around the country, and I just think it's cool.
No, that sounds very cool. And if they built a strong brand and a strong relationship online with their customers, I'd imagine they can already use their email list, their social media accounts to let customers know that they're coming to them and help build some traffic to that site.
Absolutely. It's we hesitate to use the word omnichannel anymore because we're all tired of saying it. But that's what it's about. It's about having that consistent customer experience at every touch point in the shopper journey. And these days you don't know where your shopper necessarily is going to start on their mobile phone, on a tablet, in your store, on your website, via social media. So you need to be able to tap all those channels in order to reach your customers more effectively.
Yeah, when we talk about omnichannel, we think about mobile a lot, and that's changed things many ways for the customers, but it's also changed it in terms of fulfillment and many other ways on the company side. And it empowers them to be able to go around and do some of these things, right?
Yeah, so the Airstream, I don't think everybody's going to be doing the Airstream, but pop-up stores have become a really interesting and popular way to test out a concept, test out a location, and with the help of advanced mobile technology, we can do mobile POS, we can track inventory, we can order and ship to home, we can order from stores, but you can do all that now from your pop-up location because of where mobile technology has taken us.
Now, when we think of showrooming, we normally talk about it in a negative way. Certainly brick and mortar retailers sometimes talk about it in a negative way. But in these pop-up stores, I've seen some e-commerce companies really, all they want to do is showroom. They don't want to actually fulfill in the store. They just want customers to be able to interact with these products. These pop-up stores give customers that opportunity?
Yes, and I was just having that conversation with someone today about, showrooming used to be a bad word. And it's really not. And I was remembering several years ago when I went on a store tour in New York City and Samsung had the Samsung Experience store. In the middle of Manhattan, and everyone kind of scratched their heads and said, why are they doing this? It's costing them who knows even how much to have this square footage in New York City, and they're not selling anything from there. Yeah. And basically it was called the Samsung Experience because it was about the experience. It was about trying out the products. It was about having a relationship with that brand. And so I think we're not going to end up with it all that kind of experience 100%. I think it's definitely going to be a mix between, we want to be able to start thinking about the customer first, and so our first objective is to have a good relationship with that customer, and then it's completing the sale. And I think that's how retailers are going to be successful moving forward, is thinking about the customer first, thinking about that brand relationship, and you'll make the purchase, then you'll complete the purchase, but you really need to have that relationship with the customer first.
And lastly, it also seems like a great opportunity for customer intelligence to really learn about what the customers want.
Well, that's the bottom line key to everything in retail these days, right? Is to have the data on your customer and collect it. There's so many different ways to collect it now, and we hear a lot about location-based technologies and beacon technologies, and there are a lot of ways to track the customer, but it is important to do that in every possible way that you can. So anytime you're interacting with a customer, be it via mobile technology, in a pop-up store, driving in your Airstream, online, and on your tablets. I mean, you really you need to be able to collect and effectively analyze that data so that you know who your best customers are, because that's the bottom line.
Yeah, and don't overlook those face-to-face conversations, because you can learn so much from
Right,
them.
and so that's, again, back to how we started. So many e-commerce retailers are realizing that that's how they're going to differentiate themselves, and so they're looking at these more and more of these opportunities too. While they started out as an e-commerce, and it's going to be vitally important to them moving forward. But if there's a way for them to have those face-to-face conversations, they're going to do that as well.
So think of that e-commerce box, that computer, that mobile device, and get out there in the real world, experiment, and get to know your customers. So, well, thanks a lot, Debbie.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. You can see more marketing case studies and see more marketing industry data at MarketingSherpa.com.